In this episode, we showcase the new sugar diabetes and weight loss drug, Mounjaro. We're going to look at the 10 most side effects you need to be aware of that you could experience in embarking on this incredible drug. And at the conclusion, we'll then look at some of the strategies and cheat codes that me and my patients have employed to be able to take this medication, get the benefits without the ill effects. Let's go.
Okay, so let's jump right in. But the first thing I need to say is each of these stats that I'm coding here, what I've done is I've taken what the manufacturer coded as the side effect, subtracted the placebo effect to give the net effect attributable to the drug. Okay, so that being said, let's get into it. So by far, the number one complaint in all users of Mounjaro was nausea. And that stands to reason. It's cutting your appetite. There's going to be some teething issues. So nausea was king. That was the worst. 14% of users. The next most common side effect experienced by users of Mounjaro was diarrhea. And that was 7 in 100 users, 7.7%. Very similar to vomiting. And again, that kind of makes sense. Vomiting is kind of the sequelae to nausea, because generally you're nauseous first, followed by vomiting. So it would make sense that a subset of those who felt nauseous actually vomited. In addition, your gut only has two responses to anything that passes its way that it dislikes, that it disfavors, and that's either to push it back up through your throat, which is vomiting, or push it out through the other exit, and that would be diarrhea. Okay, coming in at number 4 was constipation, and that was noticed in 5% of users, 5.3%. Which is interesting because more people actually experience diarrhea, but it just goes to show you with genetics, it doesn't always mean that you're going to get the same effect. There's some people that feel tired after drinking coffee, believe it or not. The next thing was coming in at number 5 was burping, or medically we call that eructation. That was 2.9%, or roughly 3 in every 100 users. In addition to burping, which is upstairs, we also had downstairs tooting or farting in 2.9%. So equivalent amounts of burping and flatulence. And again, you would expect that if there's a lot of excessive air in the gut, because the gut is slowed down and not moving as fast, which helps to reduce your appetite, you're going to get that gas coming back out, and that's going to be through these two exits. All right, next up was feelings of indigestion. Again, that's no big surprise. If you're experiencing these other effects, it's not a big stretch of imagination that you would feel some degree of indigestion as well. And that was coded in 2.8% of users. Next up, getting pretty rare now, is heartburn issues. And that was in 1.3% of users. Belly aches of unknown etiology. So in other words, somebody's could be cramps, could be a bellyache. We have no idea the specifics, but some degree of stomach distress in 1.1%. And finally, in the top 10 is bloating, which again would be related to burping and tooting, etc. It's gas related. And that was only in 0.4% of users. Now, if you consider that after this line item, everything after this is going to be less than 0.4%, or basically half a person per every 100, you're looking at very insignificant and rare side effects after this point. So overall, I feel this is a pretty decent drug, especially for the benefits that you can accrue, both in terms of lowering your blood sugar and also losing weight. And some studies are suggesting that Mounjaro is actually even more effective than Ozempic in terms of weight loss. However, there are critics of those studies that say that they included both people with diabetes and without, whereas the Ozempic studies were only people with diabetes. So it wasn't exactly a fair apples to apples comparison. Okay, so next up, this is what you might look out for if you're just starting out on Mounjaro. Now, what are some solutions that I've employed with some of my patients to navigate through some of these pitfalls and still be able to take the drug and get the benefit from it? Well, number one, what we've done in some cases is with Mounjaro, just like all the other once weekly injections, it's a stepwise dosing. So you start low and gradually every month you increase by an increment. So one of the things that I've done with some patients is if they were able say they went to this increment here, this 15 milligrams, and they were okay at this one or this one, is just to titrate them back down to the last dose that they felt comfortable on and stay there. You can still get benefits from the drug. It's just that the weight loss and sugar reduction may not be as spectacular as if you could get up to the full 15 milligrams dose. Another strategy that I've employed is normally the drug is given once a week. But in a few cases, I found that people are still able to take the medication at the full dose, so say the 15 milligrams, and it's making them sick each week. What I'll do is ask them to divide it and do half at the beginning of the week and half at the latter end of the week. So across the full week, you're still getting the entire dose. You're just splitting it in two, so your body's experiencing a smaller peak and trough with each dose. All right, strategy and cheat code number 2. With a lot of these symptoms here, I can do specific line item actions to reduce the particular symptom. So for example, if someone is nauseous all the time, I might prescribe them something like Gravol to take. And very often, because the dose peaks in the week and then declines before the next dose comes up, so this is 1 week here, very often the symptoms are going to be worse at the beginning of the week that you're taking the drug, and then as it gradually subsides, the symptoms become less apparent. So I might prescribe somebody, for example, for nausea, some Gravol that they take during the first 2 to 3 days where they're getting the most symptoms, and then they just cut it back until the next needle. For a lot of these things like the indigestion, the heartburn, the burping, all those upper stomach symptoms, a lot of the time taking an antacid reduces or completely dissipates those. So antacids. For the lower abdominal things like the constipation, obviously you can use stuff like Metamucil, probiotics, cathartics, X-Lax, all that kind of stuff. For things like the bloating, if it's not responding to an antacid, you could use something like Gas X or gas preparations, Beano, all that kind of stuff. And the fourth thing, in a lot of cases, is just application of patience. If you persist with it long enough, eventually your gut very often will simply adapt to these nuisance side effects, and then they just dissipate and disappear, leaving you with just the benefits.
So guys, that's Mounjaro and some of the side effects and pitfalls you might want to look out for when you're embarking on it, and how we can circumvent some of those with some cheat codes. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm very excited for you to try it. Until next time, good luck and you're welcome.